How do I feel about the roof? Well, considering the fact that it only leaks when it rains now, I think I've made some really good progress.
Buckle up for safety as I give you a day in the life of online. No, not online. I'm actually there. Facilities maintenance.
You might think I'm joking, but I'm not. I'm back up on the roof here again with another series of roof leaks back at the high school. Sort of in the same area, but not. Previously the water was leaking in around this area over here. It was right at that corner by the hallway in the office where they intersected, and it was dripping there. I have a couple new reported roof leaks. This has all been repaired. We had no leaks for a few months. And then they started up again. This time a little bit further down, kind of in this area here. It made no sense because I've sealed the seam. There's a seam along the roof here, and I've sealed it all the way back to about there, as far as the seam goes. And we had some roofers up here doing some other maintenance, and they picked up where I left off and continued to seal this seam that way for another 22, 23 feet. So it's not this seam, but the water's coming in from somewhere. You always start with penetration points, usually. And there's a drain in the roof right here. So it could be coming in from this drain here. That's kind of one of my prime suspects. And as I was up in the ceiling, I kind of went through a ceiling tile right about here where I'm standing. No, a little more here. Because I remember that drain was about 10 feet in front of me. I'm looking up in the ceiling and I see water dripping down from a seam over here, and I follow the channel of that seam back. I take a measurement off the gym wall over there to know exactly where I'm talking about, and I line it up here, and along this channel here that's gathering water and sending it down this way, there's nothing along here until I get way over here. There's this other roof drain, and I've never done maintenance on this roof drain here. So what I'm really hoping is that the issue is these drains for this new series of leaks, because it might not necessarily drip straight down, right? It might get through the membrane, but then travel on the top of the styrofoam insulation, which is about 5 inches thick, and find a crack in that before it goes down. So that's the tricky thing with this, is you never know where the water's coming from. I'm gonna start with these drains. I'm gonna reseal that drain, and I'm gonna reseal that drain. And then I know it's not gonna leak. I know that, like, I've eliminated that, and a lot of the times that's what you're doing, is you're just eliminating possibilities, and it's a trial and error until you eventually eliminate the right issue. So I'm not gonna start that today. I'm gonna wait till this water dries up a little bit more. It's not supposed to rain tomorrow. So I'll be back here probably on Thursday. It's Tuesday today. And I'll deal with these drains. And then you don't hope for rain, but I kind of hope for some rain following that so that I can determine whether or not I've been successful in stopping the leaks. Stay tuned. Here we are. It's Thursday. It's a nice sunny warm day. Most of my water has dissipated, so I think I can get to work repairing these drains. I have to get rid of this water anyway, so I might as well put it to good use. That's 2.5 gallons right there already. This one is the really dirty one, and I gotta try and get rid of some of this mud. I will clean it with the proper membrane cleaner when the time comes, but for now I'm just getting rid of the worst of it. Well, the process is pretty simple. First thing I need to do is take that compression ring off and make it so that I can lift the membrane.
Somebody obviously tried to stop this from leaking previously by putting adhesive or something on top of the membrane, which doesn't do any good.
With the compression ring now off, this is what I'm talking about. This is probably our issue here. Now, I don't know how much of this pulled loose just from me removing the compression ring, but there's a good chance this was not sealed anymore already. It's like that in a number of places. So any water that gets under here is able to travel along the top of the insulation until it finds a crack in the insulation, which they're just styrofoam panels, and then it leaks through to the decking below. So what I'm going to do now is clean off all the old sealant here as much as I can, and with all that off, I will inspect this membrane to make sure there aren't any tears anywhere, and then I will go ahead and reinstall the drain.
And there may be other ways to do this, there may be better ways to do it, but I've found that this method works well, and so this is how I'm going to do this one today. Feel free in the comments below to point out anything you think I could do differently. There may be other methods to resealing a roof drain. This is what I've done in the past and I know it works. And providing that I don't find any tears in the membrane, there's no reason why I can't go ahead and just reuse that same membrane. It's not in new condition, no, I'll give you that, but neither is the rest of the roof back there. So the drain seal itself will be brand new.
I'm now ready to cut this on 3 sides, and even though I've been working at it from this side here, I'm going to cut that side, and that side over there to avoid where I've already got a seam right here. I don't know if it'll make that much of a difference. It's simply how I have chosen to do it. Now, what you see under here is butyl, and that is what I'm going to be doing for the new installation. It's just that this butyl is 28 years old. But here's something else it's telling. All these rust patterns that you see here, water's been leaking in there. So that pretty much confirms my theory that water has been getting past the compression seal
and under the membrane,
getting underneath this ring here, and finding its way into the building. Well, I've cleaned up the underside of this top part of the compression ring. The real magic happens underneath the membrane. And so that's the area that I have to concentrate on resealing properly. So this is where the seal is very, very important. I have to stress that it's really important to get these surfaces as clean as possible. I've taken a wire brush to both of them. Anything that was loose and removable has come off of there, so they're prepped and ready to go. And I will also say that had this membrane been torn anywhere and damaged, I would have had to replace it. I wouldn't be able to reuse it. And the product I'm using is butyl sealant. That was what was used originally in the original installation, not in some subsequent repairs. You can see where there's some other kind of sealant in there. But this is a gunnable butyl sealant. It will never harden, and it will adhere to basically everything. I bought this at an RV store because that's a common usage for them. You don't generally find this one on the shelf. They have like lap sealants and self-leveling sealants and whatnot to sell to the public, but they usually have it in stock, and the technicians use it in the back for any repairs that they do on RV roofs and penetrations and whatnot, and it is what is used for this. You can also get it at a roofing supply store, different brand. The brand isn't important. It just needs to be a butyl sealant.
Now, I've probably used more than I need per drain, but I bought 1 tube per drain, and
gosh darn it if I'm not going to use the whole tube.
I can feel as I pat my way around here that I've got a nice squishy layer of sealant under the membrane. When I put my compression ring down on there and it oozes up at the posts, I know that I am going to have a beautiful seal. I will say that butyl sealant gets everywhere. So have some mineral spirits, paint thinner, whatnot on hand to clean up your tools when you're done. Anyway, I'm now ready to put some seam tape on those seals, and then this drain will be done. And this drain is done, except the ballast. It's never really over until the ballast is put back. Well, on this other one, while there were a couple of nuts missing, it doesn't look like it's ever been touched. I can see, though, this is interesting. You notice what I'm noticing here? There's a hole there, there's a hole there, and there's a hole there. What this tells me is this whole membrane was down at one point in time, and it came up again, and then it went back down, and the holes didn't quite line up, so they made new holes. So what we could be looking at is a large section of this membrane might have come up for some reason, and then when it was put back down, those holes didn't quite line up, and so they had to punch new holes through there. Who knows? Half this job is archaeology sometimes, but at this point it doesn't matter. All I have to do is correct the leaking that's happening here. Clean this off. Now I'm going to go give that ring a good wire brush. Where is it? Still stuck good there. Okay, I'm gonna need 2 hands for this, and let's see what's revealed when I lift this one up. Okay, there was a little bit of water getting past this one. You can see a couple of small rust spots, but I'm gonna say that this one was not leaking. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit of water was coming through here. Here maybe. Nothing like that one over there. That was definitely a leaker. This one, I'm gonna say, not so much. From this point, it doesn't really make any difference in what I need to do. I need to reseal it and put it back together again the way I did the other one over there. So basically repair what I've done. But I don't think this was a leak problem. So that's good to know. That means that everything that I was seeing, even though it was coming through in a couple different locations, was very, very likely coming from that other one over there. I've cleaned the seam with weathered membrane sealer. I'm just going to let that flash off. And as I'm speaking here, you can see how quickly that's evaporating. I used less butyl this time, so I didn't make as much of a mess. Interesting, the pattern is not symmetrical. There it is. I wonder why that is. You wouldn't think it would make any kind of a difference. Did I put 3 washers on this one? Yes, I did. Nuts. peanuts, popcorn. Get your peanuts, popcorn here. Now, I should have brought up my impact driver with a deep socket and just zip these on nice and quick, but, you know, I didn't. But they move pretty easy by hand. Kind of like tightening anything down, whether it's the tires on your vehicle, the wheels I should say, or a clutch plate. Once you hit some resistance, it's probably a good idea to do each one a little bit at a time, just to keep the pressure even. Because I don't want to over tighten these. I want to get them tight, snug with a little tightness at the end. The German torque setting is Guten tight. Because all that butyl that I put underneath there, I don't want to squeeze all of it out. I want a little bit to remain, because that's my seal. Which is probably why they double nut these things. Because you put the first one on, you get it to where you want it to go, you tighten the second nut against the first one, and that locks it in place.